Okay, so here we're going to continue with understanding branding, and this part's going to be about the branding process. Um, so rather than approaching individual applications as isolated brand solutions, it's imperative to see every application as a contributor to the entire brand experience. That's the brand identity, every appropriate graphic design application, an advertising campaign, traditional and new media, as well as environmental. In a marketplace that's totally overcrowded with goods and services, a relevant and engaging brand experience can make or break a brand. Branding, in effect, helps answer the customer question, why should I do business with you? Okay? So, from the moment a customer reads your brochure, goes to your website, walks into your store, or holds your product, he or she begins to form an opinion about your brand and what is the value of your brand. Is it reliable? Is it effective? Is it up to date? How innovative is it? Is it really better than others? Is it worth the price I'm going to pay? In a world where customers have less and less time to consider options, branding helps make a decision that often occurs in a split second. The branding process is overall a complicated one, but it can be broken down into 4 very simple steps: strategy, concept, applications, implementation. Okay? Strategy, concept, applications, implementation. Okay, so we'll start with brand strategy. Now, what I'm going to be doing through these videos, I've decided the best solution is to just show you interesting brand concepts that are existing in the real world. In this particular one, you're going to be looking at images, various images of the brand for Starbucks throughout the entire lecture, so that you have something to look at while I'm talking, and hopefully you won't go to sleep. So strategy, brand strategy is the core tactical underpinning of branding. It unites all planning for every visual and verbal application. The brand strategy defines the brand's personality and promise, differentiates the brand from the competition by defining the brand's positioning, and codifies the brand essence. It is a conceptual plan providing guidelines to drive all brand applications from identity and packaging to advertising. Essentially, the brand strategy is how you are conceiving, creating, and positioning your brand in the marketplace to achieve differentiation, relevance, and resonance. Okay? Differentiation, relevance, and resonance. Okay? Those are the things the brand needs to achieve. Research and analysis. During this initial phase of the branding process, gathering information and performing research is absolutely vital. Research allows both the client and the creative team to best understand what their brand is. If it's a new brand, it's important to research the marketplace, the competition, and the need for the brand, or the perception of the parent company among consumers, and then to define that new brand and make it different than all the other brands in that same market. Now, if a brand is being revitalized, then research allows the creative team to understand what needs to be changed, what needs to be redefined in order to keep pace, or in fact keep ahead of the marketplace. Pre-design research is the most important research. Clients value post-design research as well, which usually takes the form of focus groups, a target group of people, potential audience maybe, gathering by market researchers to critique the work of the creative team, the work that the creative team has created. Post-design research can raise important red flags, especially when dealing with a global audience. So say, for example, a pictorial logo depicting a flower looks like a no-brainer, but what if the number on the petals of the flower is an unlucky number in the particular country that you're going to put it into that market? The logo is instantly problematic for that particular market. So you need to be globally aware, especially in today's marketplace. Focus groups are asked to criticize, and criticize they do. Sometimes it can be very painful, and can take some of the creative life out of designs. Maybe the design was just stretching a little bit further and it was going to be super interesting, but that wasn't going to work out well based on the focus groups. This is where marketing executives can get nervous about innovative or highly creative work. It's great to have a client that allows you to be highly creative and is willing to trust you to try something different. Naturally, marketing executives don't understand the need for differentiation and sometimes are justly concerned for their job security. So often they will opt for a familiar or like the competition in order to play it safe. Now, some more savvy clients and designers realize that focus groups can offer guidance or be used as a point of reference. Focus groups are as whimsical and critical as any group of people gathered together to discuss anything. After the problem has been researched and the materials are collected, an in-depth analysis of the information needs to be done. So there has to be some discussion points. What is the function of the product? What does the industry or group do? Do we want it to be regional? Do we want it to be national? Do we want it to be global? Who is the competition for this brand? What is the company's vision? Or what is the brand's vision? How can we best define the brand's essence? Communication between the client's team and the creative team should be full and clear, especially at this point. Creative professionals need to learn how to ask penetrating questions and how to listen to the client, which helps make meetings as beneficial as possible. When the client feels that he or she has been heard, things can be so much easier. They can just go so much more smoothly. Equally, when the client has been heard and understood by the creative team have a better understanding of the goals and the problems that need to be solved. Now, this doesn't mean the creative team should design the client's ideas, okay? It means that no one knows the brand in question better than the client. The client team possesses critical information that the creative team needs in order to pursue a sound strategy. Also, the client team probably knows the audience pretty well, and their insights into the audience perception, needs, and fancies can really help to the creative team's understanding of the problem. Okay? So, brand essence and differentiation. In the strategic formation stage of the process, most brand teams solidify the brand essence. That is, if it hasn't been defined. Okay? The brand essence is the combination of the essential points or aspects of a brand condensed into a central core conception, which is brought to life through the branding concept and the visual articulation of the concept. Another critical goal is to differentiate yourself, okay? You have to establish a difference between your brand and the competition's brand. Or what is the niche for this particular brand? Okay? There is no value in being like the others. Consumers don't have time anymore to worry about two brands that are very, very similar. You must be different. For new products or services, it is necessary to understand that market niche and to carve it out for that brand. A good example might be the Power Bar, which is an energy bar. It encourages athletes to embrace and promote their Power Bar. So the owners encourage athletes to embrace and promote their Power Bar. They've also asked athletic retail stores to display the Power Bar products on their counters. So combined with their own Herculean efforts and fully understanding of the power of buzz in their audience, the results were terrific for that particular brand. Know your brand. It's important to know a brand's true assets, strengths, and weaknesses. It is to know your own in the workplace, as it is to know your own. Okay, never mind. There are so many brands available that in reality, no brand, but remember, no brand is irreplaceable. As much as companies would love for people to think of their brand, if a brand has a weak point, the marketplace will exploit it. No brand is irreplaceable. Okay? Develop brand architecture. So in order to be a successful brand, a brand must be understood in relationship to the parent company and the company's entire portfolio of brands. Brand architecture is the analysis of the company's brands and their interdependencies, including structuring how all of their values can be maximized at every level of the company and throughout the strategic positioning of the brand. Okay? So in this particular case that we're flipping through right now, understanding what the brand Seattle's Best Coffee is, which is owned by Starbucks, what Tazio, the tea brand, which is owned by Starbucks, where does that fit in this interdependence structure of Starbucks as a parent brand? Okay. At this point, it's vital to write a positioning statement. Some people call it a strategy statement, which is a succinct written statement delineating the strategic concept and demarcating the vital characteristics of the brand in the marketplace. So basically, in a nutshell, the positioning statement defines the strategic brand, what the brand is, what it stands for, where it wants to be. This provides the springboard for designers, art directors, writers, or in conjunction with a strategy statement, some creative professionals employ a creative brief, positioning it in a verbose statement about where things are going to be going. So we get to the creative brief. Now, essentially, a creative brief is kind of like a strategic plan. It's a kind of a type of map that both the client and the design firm or advertising agency agree upon, and from which the creative team works as a strategic springboard. It is also called a design brief, or it can be called a creative work plan. Most creative briefs are made up of questions and answers which are used in an attempt to fully understand the brand, the objectives of the branding context, and the audience. Okay? And finally, the creative brief becomes the strategic plan for implementing those objectives. It is a verbal standard against which creative solutions can be measured. Both the client and the creative professionals can go back to the brief to support their concepts or solutions. So while you're being creative, it gives you a place to go back and look and say, yeah, that is the direction we wanted to go, or does that really answer those questions that were brought up in the creative brief? Or is it something so far out in left field that it's just not going to work? Okay? Okay, so a sample creative brief, a couple examples might include, so let's just say sample brief 1. Okay, what is the project title? What is the challenge? Who comprises the key audience? What is our understanding? How did we arrive at this realization? What is the brand essence? What is our strategy? And what should our execution be? Okay. Another example of a creative brief would be project title, goal, brand strategy, brand essence, audience, and our big plan. Okay. All right. So design briefs may take a different form from creative briefs, emphasizing the exact applications, okay, rather than the creative briefs at the beginning. So a design brief could include things like a project title, product information, market information, communication objectives, format and size, media, constraints, deadline, your budget, and the approval process. So it breaks out the actual particulars for a thing, okay? So the concept, this is the most difficult phase, generating the gripping concept that will resonate, engage, and endure a brand to people. The core brand concept must be flexible and broad enough to be the foundation, okay, the rock of the whole branding plan, and to work across all branding applications, yet not become diluted, antiseptic, common, or so broad that it doesn't possess specificity. I've been talking too much today. And interest, okay? The concept is the critical and creative thinking underpinning all design applications. Okay? A concept is also called an idea in advertising, is the unique thinking behind a brand, setting its visual style and often uniting its visual identity and applications. A core concept usually communicates the strategy, brand spirit, or style. It can also create or highlight an emotional or functional benefit that distinguishes a brand, endears it to the audience, and motivates the viewer to run out and buy that product or use that service or act on behalf of this cause, issue, or whatever. The concept is the foundation of the visual style of all branding. The concept powers an individual application. Okay, how is it going to be applied? The concept powers that. The concept should be expressed through the visual style and design of how it's going to be applied. Okay? So the application itself, the brand identity, television, tagline, print ads, websites, web banners, floater ads, annual reports, Facebook site, radio, outdoor boards, viral marketing, unconventional advertising, direct marketing, brand environments, public relations, intranet, sponsorships, telemarketing, training manuals, promotions, Salesforce, publicity, buzz, meaning word of mouth, okay, signage, emails, events or happenings. So many different applications can occur, okay? So after we have concept to applications, we come to implementation, okay? Now, implementation, final designs are now created and utilized. Depending upon the creative provider, a branding firm, graphic design firm, or advertising agency, marketing agency, unconventional marketing agency, interactive agency, or partners thereof. The team will specify how the brand application should be utilized and plan the launch of the new brand, revitalized brand, or brand merger into the marketplace or public. Creative professionals also provide guidelines and specifications as well as support for the installation of environmental branding. Okay, prioritize. Implement the most needed items first. Pictures. Determine the source of images for your concept. Ascertain what will be the best source of imagery based on your budget and based on your concept. Production. Determine the most appropriate programs for use to efficiently implement your program. Okay? For example, it could be easier to create a mechanical for an 8-page brochure in InDesign instead of using Illustrator. Yes, that's how nitpicky it can get. Determine how your clients will proof the projects. Okay? So if you say it's a foreign client, what's the best way for them to proof those projects? And what's the most cost-efficient way for that to happen? Okay? You got to ascertain whether or not the client can handle or is capable of proofing PDFs rather than physical copies. Things such as this. Then you get to printing and programming. Once the mechanicals for your branding project are complete, you need to select a printer, a programmer, interactive provider, studio. You need to make sure the printer, programmer, provider is knowledgeable in their craft. Okay? So if they're not knowledgeable, are they going to diminish the value of your brand image? Being present to supervise press runs and new media program. This is really helps to allow a creative professional to stay in control over the final look and keeping everything on brand. Protect. Once final production of the application has been implemented, the creative team should be the guardian of branding, providing design and branding guidelines and specifications that allows the creative team to aid the client in maintaining guardianship of the branding value after realization. Providing a standards manual is critical to protecting the integrity of the brand identity and the value of the brand. The romance of designing a brand identity is in the designing. Admittedly, the less romantic but very essential part is determining the priority order of producing the various applications. All of the nuts and bolts, production, acquiring images, printing, experts, and then protecting or being the brand shepherd. Okay? So that was a long, drawn, fun thing about the beginnings of the brand process, and is lecture number 2 in this particular series. Have a great day.